worked under him. I've only talked
Let me
to
just
him
get your
like
microphone
once,
and then we'll wrap
but
it.
I was trying to convince him about the easement.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I talked to him about it. Didn't seem to be worried about it.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and call to order the Swatara Township Board of Commissioners regular meeting 2. It is February 12th, 2025, and it is 7:16 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. You may be seated. All right, Secretary Savage, could you do a roll call, please?
Commissioner Tuckey?
Here.
Commissioner Zubek?
Here.
Commissioner Connolly?
Here.
Commissioner Steele?
Here.
President Ellis?
Here.
Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. And then for the public, Vice President Steele is participating virtually. We did not have an executive session prior to this meeting for the Board of Commissioners. And now we're up to item number 6. We have our esteemed guest, Miss Barbara Barksdale here. She is going to give us a presentation regarding the historic Midland Cemetery, which is in Swatara Township.
I'm doing good. Good to see you. Just want to make sure I have this thing for you.
Thank you for coming. Very happy to have you.
Absolutely.
Talk to them.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. If you don't know who I am, my name is Barbara Barksdale. Okay, and I'm going to be talking this way. Okay. It's so crazy because about 34 years ago, almost to the date, I stood in this room with people that probably was long gone before you guys were born, but asking them if they would help me find out who owned the Midland Cemetery, asking them to help me, take care of it because it was nothing but the trees and the weeds and the woods and everything else. Am I supposed to say next slide? Oh, that's why you're there. Okay.
Gotcha.
Usually I'm the woman in control of everything. So next slide, please. Remember this. Any of you older people in the room, do you remember this old cemetery that looked just like this? I wish I could, really make it big. But you know what? The bigger thing is you go out to the cemetery and take a look for yourself. Okay. But this is what I started with. The wonderful Midland Cemetery. I went into the woods trying to find my grandfather. And I ended up trying to clean it all up because somebody said, well, you're going to clean your grandfather and nobody else's. Well, if you know me, that was a challenge for me. So I decided to clean up the whole cemetery, just not my grandpa. But anyway, this is what I started with 34 years ago. Never did find out who the actual owners were at that time, but I strive forward. Swatara Township been helping me since the very, very, very beginning. And we're going to just keep on going through the next slide. Okay. As you see, this is called the pre-construction conservation site. And it is the very first picture that I had there. And then if you really get a chance to look at it later, you will see there's some people inside of the second picture there. And then there's a headstone there. So we start finding wonderful history as we started taking down some of the trees. Actually, the Pennsylvania conservationists came and helped with the very first quarter of the cemetery to start removing the trees. And of course, we start removing stumps. And as we started removing stumps and trees, we start finding wonderful history, headstones. Next slide, please. And I seem to be going through this fast because I know everybody wants to get home. Okay, so on this one, we have what we started finding in the cemetery. Not only did we find trash and junk and people start dumping there, they have been dumping there for years. We also start finding little markers, the little round one on the very first picture there, that indicates that that number goes along with our plot plan that we have for the cemetery, a map, and it tells us who possibly is buried in that particular grave. Also, we found, obviously, trash in there. And then the Williams is stuck inside that tree, in the base of the tree. So that tree started growing up and around the headstone. So we had to act like we were archaeologists, you know, and try to peel the tree away from the headstone so that it wouldn't cause damage to it. And we found that throughout the cemetery. It was just amazing in the very beginning to pull a tree up or remove the stumps, because we were doing this all by hand, and finding the burial site of somebody else, their headstone, the numbers, and everything else that goes along with a cemetery, including the bones. Some of them were impregnated inside of the base of the tree. Next slide. So what do we have to do? We had to organize ourselves. I had to organize myself, grab up anybody who was interested in trying to save their ancestors, whether they were white or black or whatever, and have them come out there and help us remove the trees. We started removing the brush, the debris, the headstones, finding headstones, trying to document the location, everything, cleaning, repairing them, reseeding the cemetery, trying to fix it up and trying to make it look as good as it possibly could look over the last 34 years, and it's never ending. Now, if you take a look at the next slide, you will see a gentleman standing there. That was Jim Scott. He flew up from Atlanta, Georgia. He was a reenactor for the Buffalo Soldiers. And we're standing near two I keep calling them headstones, but it's actually markers because it's not a stone. That is of the Roebuck family, George and Jenny Roebuck. Those headstones happen to have been underground for so many years that when we started removing the trees, they were found, all right? And believe it or not, that they did not depreciate, well, I don't want to say depreciate, they didn't fall apart. And if you take a look up here at the table, you will see George Roebuck is sitting there. And I say he is not sitting there, but his marker is there. Jenny is still at home. She's in my house. And we pulled them out of the cemetery so that we would not leave them to the elements, because as soon as we got them above ground, for some reason with the elements, it started making them fall apart, and the bottoms of them start crumbling, and we had more and more problems. So the family actually came to the cemetery. They were in Alaska. They found their relatives there. They decided that, how about if we put in new headstones, actual headstones, which are there now for George and Jenny Roebuck. And they allowed me to say, well, I'm going to take care of them and make sure that I use them for educational purposes. So we have them now restored, as you see in the front, if you want to take a closer look, well, some other time. But in either case, George and Jenny are actually the grandparents of James Roebuck, who was the Pennsylvania State's representative in Philadelphia. Okay, and actually he just passed away like last year. So the next slide, please. And what we found, not only with my own grandfather being buried there, but we also started finding a lot of other wonderful, wonderful history there. We found a lot of military headstones. At one time I had to argue with the Dauphin County Veterans Administration that we had black people that had been in the war, and we called them United States Color Troops. And that's what we started finding, those men who actually fought in the Civil War. So we have, Mr. Woodburn there. We have Mr. Johnson. We have over 92 veterans in total, not just USCT, but also the Buffalo Soldiers. Have you ever heard of the Buffalo Soldiers? Yeah? Okay, you need to go back to school. Okay. I will teach you later. I'm going to take you to the cemetery tonight, and I'm going to teach you about the Buffalo Soldiers, okay? So anyway, the Buffalo Soldiers did the Wild West thing after the United States Color Troops. Have you ever heard of the Tuskegee Airmen? Yeah? Okay, so we have a couple of them up there too. I just found them over the last couple of years, and they're buried in, different areas of the cemetery. We have the guys from World War I and also World War II buried at Midland Cemetery. So, Korean War, yes. We stopped at the Vietnam War because at that point the cemetery was starting to be coming to the point that nobody could really get into the cemetery because of all the trees that had grown up. They started putting them along the road. So that's another story for you. But anyway, we have some wonderful history that we found up there that needs to be shared and taught in our schools and talked to our children about, and our ancestors. It's coming to life because we are able to save this history and also make sure that people know about it. So that's Midland Cemetery. Next slide, please. All right, so I had to pull, and I'm into researching. I'm a part of the history detectives also for Central Pennsylvania. So I started pulling all the time, trying to find the documentation to share with the Veterans Administration. In fact, we're in partnership now with the National Cemetery Administration, okay, for the veterans. And that goes around the country and also around the world. So it all kind of started with Midland because he did some videotaping at Midland a couple of years ago, which has been an international film for the National Cemetery Administration. Here you have Jeremiah Jackson. Jeremiah Jackson was a member of the USCT. And it says in his obituary that he was one of the first to enter Richmond. So any Civil War buffs in here? Okay, all right. Well, that's okay. That's all right. I'm gonna make you one day, okay? So, at the end of the Civil War, freedom, Emancipation Proclamation, Abe Lincoln on the penny, he was killed, okay? All righty. All right, no problem. I'm gonna work with you sooner or later. Anyway, Jeremiah Jackson, who we're still trying to find his headstone, and if we don't find it in another year, we're going to have a new one put up there for him. All right, but we also have a barrage of different veterans up there, and they did all kinds of things in the United States to get our freedom, to maintain our freedom, and continues to help us with our freedom. So, next slide, please. We had Eagle Scouts up there over the years for various things that they wanted to do, and they all accomplished their things. We had about 7 Eagle Scouts in total that came up there and did different things like putting up the fencing, fixing headstones, helping with the website, etc. So this is one that our Eagle Scout Policare had actually done. He did the one on the corner where we can recognize all the veterans from the various wars since the cemetery was started. I shouldn't say started because it started in 1795, but at the time when the Civil War, United States colored people were starting to be buried there. Next slide. And I just had to throw this picture in because even though obviously these children, this is a picture from, I believe, like 1908, and this is of the hygienic school for colored children. Some of those children are buried at Midland, as well as the teacher that is in the corner to the right-hand side of that picture. She's also buried there. I had to recognize the kids because they're no longer kids. They're probably deceased at this point, but they became parents. They became grandparents. They could have become your neighbors or someone who, served you downtown or worked at Bethlehem Still or at the quarry in Stilton or somewhere in Swatara Township. So I just had to make sure that people understand that it's not a place of just death, but it's a place of life because there's a lot of wonderful history buried there. Next slide. And then, of course, we have Ancestors Grove. We added that name to our Midland Cemetery because across the street and under the street is the rest of our cemetery. Now, this here particular slide here indicates some of the people that are buried at Midland Cemetery. The names that you will see in the middle of this here particular slide are just the first names. Because slavery, if you were enslaved, and the majority of people were, blacks that is, they only have the first name. We did not have a last name. Most of our names come from those who were the enslavers, or some were, like in Mr. Harris's, his obituary is over here on the corner. He actually took the name of his favorite slave owner. Now, his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren are still in the Swatara Township Stilton, Harrisburg area. And I actually walked up to one of the descendants and said, hey, do you know where you came from? Do you know how you got your last name? Because she still has the Harris last name. And she said she thought she heard something, but she never validated. I said, well, let me tell you about how you got your last name. Is it because on his death certificate, as well in his obituary, and the Pennsylvania Department of Health actually put it on his death certificate that he took the name of his favorite slave owner. And to have that kind of history is just like, wow, you know, to have that document is like super wild. So anyway, Mr. Harris is buried at Midland Cemetery. Not to say that he's an ancestor's grove, but it just shows that how there was enslavement even that trickled into Pennsylvania or was in Pennsylvania, because the names in the middle are all from 1807. And those are the names of those people that I have a lot more names, but that selection is from those who were right here in the grounds that we're sitting on right now. All right. And so I had to make sure that they were acknowledged. The little picture over in the corner end is those United States Color Troop reenactors that comes in from Philly every year to help celebrate our veterans at Midland Cemetery. Next slide, sir. And the two pictures here is basically the one monument that sits over in Ancestors Grove. The same picture that was, that I just discussed, that is on the front of the monument. If you take a slow drive down Kelker Street, maybe stop and pull over and take a look at the monument, you will see everything that was on that previous slide on the front of that monument. And on the back of the monument is just a snapshot, a smaller piece of the entire map that we have for the main side of the cemetery. So we just want to make sure that we acknowledge our slaves that were here and what they did for our freedom. And when I say our freedom, I'm not talking about just black people, okay? Because a whole lot of you came in here way after slavery, okay? And, you know, it's like everybody got a chance to get ahead because of that freedom that was being successful by those who fought for the freedom back in 1862 to 65. All right, next slide, please. I know I got to hurry up. Okay. I just had to throw in some pictures here. Myself with, I don't know if you know any of the movies that this lady had been in, but it's the famous woman Ruby Dee. She was married to Ossie Davis. All right, and I was with her at a function and telling her all about Midland Cemetery. Now, Ruby Dee has since passed away, but it was just an honor to sit there, have lunch with her, and talk to her about the Midland Cemetery. The woman that's over there in the far corner, that's Mary Ann Gale Tyler Dixon. And I traced her all the way back to her slave owners, to her husband, which I found his body out in Ohio, because during the Civil War, he had everybody just kind of scattered. You know, like you turn on the light and all the bugs fly. You know, that's how it was. You know, when the war came, everybody just left. And so Mary Ann was able to come up here to Pennsylvania. She followed her brother, he followed Sherman's army to get here to Perry County, and she came up here after the war and was able to end up somehow coming to Stilton and married Mr. Dixon, who actually becomes, I think, the uncle of Rap Dixon, the famous Negro baseball player, who was also buried at Midland Cemetery. And just a few other pictures. And next slide. And remember the very first picture I showed you with all the woods and the trees and the weeds? Were you paying attention? Yeah, you got it? Okay. All righty. Good. I got somebody living out here. All righty. This is the after. You pull down a tree, you find some headstones, you get them all cleaned up, and look what you got. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. Okay, because I'm working with Pennsylvania Archaeological Council, and I'm going to put that picture in their new poster, hopefully, that we're going to be selecting in the next couple of months, and we're going to be showing that around the nation. Okay? And Midland Cemetery has been the catalyst and the template for the Pennsylvania Hallowed Grounds, which I am also the founder and in charge of. And we're taking care of 183 cemeteries across the state of Pennsylvania and other cemeteries around the country because of Midland Cemetery. Because these people up here, those previous and those who are here now, are the ones who have been supportive and making sure that we're taking care of Midland, picking up the debris, making sure that nobody's going to use a snowplow and take off somebody's body, and I have to go find their body down the street, right? And I always got to pick on this man. It's just going to be phenomenal in a couple of years when we get more things done, because we're also applying for the, well, now we know we're on the National Register of Historic Places, right? Yes, we are, okay, as of 2023. And we're going to now get ourselves onto the Underground Railroad trail, all right? And you know why? Yeah, only because, what did I just discuss? Because we have those slaves that were here, and we also had those freedom seekers that was coming in. Not everybody ended up in Harrisburg, they ended up in Swatara Township trying to find freedom, and they did, okay? And we're also gonna be part of the Civil War Trail. Now, all of this together is gonna help with what? Tourism. Tourism brings in money, right? And it brings in people who wants to learn about the wonderful history of Midland Cemetery, right? Yeah, okay. So it's all good, it's all good. In fact, Mrs. Hand, who lives across the street from the cemetery, she's the one who took that beautiful picture for me. Next slide, please. And as you see, I'm gonna give you 2 seconds to read it. You got it? Okay, so that's what we have up there now, and it says the National Register of Historic Places, right? Okay, next one, please. And there we are, the memory of what we just came out of. We came in, we went into the woods, and we came out with some phenomenal history. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, and we even got some white people up in there. The Castle family, they're up there, and Mr. Castle wanted to be known that he was an abolitionist and that he was a friend to the colored. That's what it says in his obituary, okay? And then I think we're at the end. I say thank you. There's an email and a website, the address there for Pennsylvania Hallowed Grounds, as well as the historic, what's the name of the cemetery? Huh? What is it? Okay, we got it. Okay, good for you. Give them an A+, give them a bottle of water. Anyway, God bless you. Thank you for allowing me to have my time here, and I am out, okay? All right.
Barbara, before you go, just for the public too, we didn't say the address. So located at 206 Kelker Street, for anyone that's interested in visiting. Obviously, you can look it up online as well. Take a trip, pay respects.
We didn't have an address until a couple of years ago because we were just in the woods.
There we go. More history. But thank you very, very much for coming. I'm going to come down and give you a hug. I appreciate you coming.
Thank you, Barbara.
And I asked Barbara to come to give that presentation on history that is located within Swatara Township for Black History Month.
What if we stand up here, we get the whole display, and you and Barbara and Christine wants to go down there? Mike, do you want to talk? We're going to set top. I don't know how much room is. But then at least we'll have a picture of the display. Oh, you need the yeah. Brandon, can you take a moment? Yeah. Michael goes up here. Okay. Where are we going to set her at? Yep, absolutely. Oh, Commissioner Zubek's coming down. So if we set that this way. Yeah, we'll do it. You better get closer to me. We can argue later. You got to get a picture now.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. So, got a couple. You want to check? Okay. I can take that as separate. You want to see?
These are out front too, if anyone, if you said she left some.
So Sylvia, come up here.
You want just a picture of that?
At this point. Thanks, Ray.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you to everyone for being receptive to that presentation. And again, thank you so much, Barbara, for coming in and giving us that wonderful history lesson. So we'll go ahead and move on to item 7, visitors' requests and comments. The first segment will be limited to 30 minutes. You can come forward, state your name and address, as well as write them down, and then you may begin your comments. All right. Don't see anyone jumping up, so we'll go ahead and move on to item number 8, a motion to approve the agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. We'll move to item 9, motion to approve the items on the consent agenda.
Motion.
Motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. By way of discussion for the public, where it says approval of hiring of summer seasonal employees as well as approval of hiring seasonal compost facility employees, this is for us to advertise. No candidates have been identified at this time, so just so that you're aware of that.
Can you explain item F?
Item F, the Planning Commission report.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it's
Yep.
in here.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
go ahead. Brandon.
Yeah, so according to the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Code, the Planning Commission has to submit a annual report to the Board of Commissioners, and it's just basically a head nod that you fulfilled your obligation.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. And then that's a good segue because next month we'll start getting an update. So maybe next month that's one of the things that can be discussed in a little more depth of
Sure.
What was included in the report.
Sure.
So thank you. All right. Do we have any other questions or discussion for the consent agenda at this time? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Now we're up to item 10, subdivision land development plans. So we'll go ahead and turn it back over to our Director of Planning and Zoning, Mr. Zach Golden.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam President. Mr. Alex Isis is present, and I believe his stormwater engineer is present as well. So long story short, Mr. Isis is proposing to build a single-family dwelling on Lot 5 at Chambers Hill Road. HRG conducted our stormwater review of his stormwater permit application, and there is one requested waiver that Alex is requesting. So BMPs providing volume storage shall be located a minimum of 10 feet away from any property line, and he's requesting a waiver for that. I'll let him kind of go into more detail regarding that. HRG is recommending approval of the waiver.
Thank you. And welcome.
In the meantime, I can hand it out.
Thank you. Yep, 3.
There. We're gonna have it for you. Thank you. It's gonna be up there, right? Yeah. Okay. There,
Oh.
it's up there.
Good evening. My name is Matt Eck. I'm a designer with Frederick Cyber and Associates. Under the supervision of my PE, we went ahead and prepared the stormwater plan for Alex. As waiver goes, our current design shows the stormwater facility, which is that giant gray box on top there. That's currently 8 inches off the front property line, which is the right-of-way line. It meets all the other 10 feet requirements of the other property lines. The one I just handed out to you there is a little exhibit showing the actual allowable room we have. The red line, it represents a 10-foot offset from the property lines, which is dictated by your ordinance. The thick black line is a 10-foot offset from any buildings and the septic system. I think we all understand that you don't want anything that's holding water right next to your foundation walls. That's just a recipe for disaster. So that slashed hatch area is actually the allowable area we had for the stormwater. And as you can see, the footprint is a 65-foot by 20-foot bed. So we really couldn't fit it inside that hatched area. I discussed it with HRG. Their review letters kind of said that they were in favor of this waiver due to the limited area we had. But it's short and sweet. Everything else is good. 3,000 square foot impervious, so we had to do rate controls, which is why it is the size it is. We have roof drain systems going through it. Another thing that kind of dictated where we put it was just because of the having all the pipes flow into it, since it's an underground system. Sitting in the front yard allowed everything to easily flow to it. Yeah, there's not much to it. It is a simple plan, really. It's just a single family residential stormwater. I'm not bringing in a warehouse or anything, and I'm sorry, this presentation isn't as exciting.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions at this time? All right. Hearing none, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second, and this is for approval of the waiver. Do we have any discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion granted. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your
Yeah,
time.
appreciate you.
Need this back out?
Yeah, do you want,
You guys keep a copy if you want for your records.
do you?
I'll take a
You
copy.
might need it
Okay,
again.
we'll keep one, and then, unless if you want to keep it, that's, you want,
Don't know.
yeah, okay. Zach will get one of them, just in case you need them for something else. Save some paper,
Need a
yep.
new one.
We have,
Are you keeping that? Okay.
sir, before you leave again, can you say your name into the microphone for our secretary?
My name is Matt Eck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we can go ahead and keep going?
Sure. Okay, thank you very much. We have an applicant here, Diane Ortega. This is for a minor, they call it a subdivision, technical term, but it's actually a lot add-on for the Roth Ortega plan. It is for 955 and 961 Orchard Drive. If they are just shifting the lot line slightly, I'll let Mrs. Ortega explain the plan. However, the Planning Commission did recommend approval of all the deferrals and waivers, and also the County Planning Commission did their mandatory review. We are recommending approval of the plan as well.
Okay,
Mrs.
thank you.
Ms. Ortega?
What it is we just wanted to add for the side property because of a very narrow driveway. We don't have a very good turnaround, but for the future, we needed the excess feet in case we did turnaround. Also, there's a lot of houses that went up above that were built in.
Okay.
A lot of wood areas there, so we really wanted more privacy, but basically we have to have that turnaround at some point. And
Everything's been waived and agreed upon from the last meeting. The engineer will have everything to write up the deed and everything. So we were coming to request their approval.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to ask that you make the motion or say everything that is included with regards to the waivers and everything that we'd be approving, and then we'll motion second and then go from there.
Okay, sure. So I did want to mention one thing. We are recommending approval of a waiver and not a deferral of the fee in lieu of dedication of open space. Reason being is because there's existing houses on the lots, and there's not going to be additional houses being built. So that's why there's a difference between those.
Makes sense.
Okay, so the
I
first,
didn't hear Zach's last comment.
can you hear me now? Does that help at all?
Yes.
So we are recommending a waiver and not a deferral for the providing a fee in lieu of dedication of open space, because there's existing houses on each of the lots. They're not creating new lots, and will be no new houses.
Makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Sure. So the first would be a waiver of the requirements to provide a separate drawing of the proposed lots at a scale of 1 inch to 100 feet. Would you like me to keep reading, or?
Would the commissioners prefer that?
I think we should, maybe listen to all of them and then decide if we
then
want to
do
do
it.
them all at once.
Okay.
Yep, most likely, but
A,
yes.
a waiver to submit a separate preliminary plan, a waiver to have the plan meet the preliminary plan specifications. As I stated, a waiver to provide a fee in lieu of dedication of open space, a deferral of the requirement to install sidewalks, and a deferral to install sidewalks, or excuse me, the last one was curbs. This one is defer sidewalks, pedestrian walkways, and bicycle paths.
All right,
I'll make a motion that we adopt all the waivers and deferrals.
okay, and I'll second. Okay. Do we have any discussion at this time?
By way of discussion, the applicant is presented at the planning commission, and everything checks out. It's existing property. But really, the only change is personal preference. It's been like that for years, and all the reviews and everything from the planning commission were fine. So.
All right, do we have any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so the deferrals and the waivers are approved, and then we'll be up to the resolution.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that resolution is approved, and it's going to be resolution R-2025-20. Thank you. All right, you can go ahead and, yep.
Okay,
Going
thank you
through.
very much. This is the preliminary final subdivision plan for Maxie Wiley III. This is at 700 2nd Street. The proposed project consists of subdividing one 4.9 acre lot into 4 separate 1.22 acre flag lots for future single family development. No developments no developments proposed at this time. An existing house will remain on lot 1. Existing barn will remain on lot 2. The lots have street frontage at the intersection of 2nd and Livingston Street. However, a private access street easement is proposed on the southeastern property boundaries. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of the deferrals and waivers at their meeting on February 4th. Staff reviewed it, and we are recommending approval as well. And Mr. Romeo is here representing the applicant. Mr. Wiley is also present.
Mark Romeo for Max Wiley, and if anybody has any questions, Zach summed it up pretty succinctly, so we're just here seeking final approval.
Sounds good. Does anyone have any questions? All right. So we'll go ahead and entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Do you want to go through the,
It's up to you.
I think we might as well just continue that
Okay.
pattern, just again for the public.
Sure.
So that,
So there's a waiver of the requirement to submit a separate preliminary plan, a waiver of the requirement to provide a natural feature preservation landscape plan, a deferral to provide a fee in lieu of dedication of open space until time of development or zoning application, defer requiring curb installation on 2nd Street in the 25-foot wide access easement, and a deferral requiring sidewalk installation on 2nd Street in the 25-foot wide access easement.
all right. Does anyone have any questions or anything with regard to, yep, go ahead.
Just to verify with the deferral with the sidewalks, they're willing to put it in later, is that,
That's what the,
just making sure?
Yeah, so once, since there's an access drive,
Yeah.
once a house would ever get developed in the future, they would be required to come do a land development plan before the township. And at that point, sidewalks, curbs, all would be required. But it is a very steep property, so might be difficult even in the future to do those.
Yeah, the frontage on Second Street, I don't know if you know where that is, but that's a sheer drop off, and there's a guide rail there, and I don't think there's going to be anything there. And then with the private access, that's 25 foot wide, and they might have to do something about. I don't know how they can fit in just the driveway and then curb and sidewalk. So. Sure. But that's for another time.
Yep.
I mean, presently there's no plans to do anything in the way of development. This is merely a case of dividing up the land among the children of the parents and satisfying the requirements of the estate.
Okay.
Yeah,
And,
I was just going to point out that directly across the street on Second, if the public was to travel through, we have some of the nicest sidewalk in Swatara Township, and it's owned by the township as an extension of the park. If you're familiar with the,
I know right where you mean, yeah.
There's a guardrail on one side and an incredible drop off. You can't really do anything with the sidewalk, but it does have sidewalk that comes out of the residential areas to the park, up to the church, on the same street, go either direction. So.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, any further questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, and now we're up to the resolution that goes with this plan. I'll entertain a motion. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so that's going to be resolution R-2025-21.
Okay, thank you very much, and thanks, Zach, for all your help with this. And I know Robert a long time from his days in Lemoyne, and you're a lot faster.
Thank you so much.
No, I love Boston.
That's coming on the tail end of it, right?
Thank you. All right, we'll just keep moving along. Yep.
Yeah. Madam President, item D, if we could just skip over that. That was already approved at our meeting on December 11th. I mistakenly added that to the agenda. Item E, this is a financial security reduction for Triple Crown. This is a land development plan called the Eisenhower Business Center. This is reduction number 3. This will be they're asking for a reduction from $105,744.10 to $53,953.90. Dahlwood and HRG both recommend approval of this reduction.
Okay, thank you. I'll entertain a motion. We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Do we have any discussion with regard to the reduction for Triple Crown? No, I believe.
Yeah, I'm in favor of that. My only discussion is when we do all three of these that we double check and we just make sure. And if the two commissioners are amenable to amending their motion, that we just state that all fees owed to the township have been satisfied before we make the financial releases for D, E, and F.
Madam President, I just wanted to make a point that I believe this is something we had discussed in the past, and we did a partial reduction, I believe, not too long ago. And so I'm assuming that all work has been complete at this point, which is why this would be moving forward. And correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Connolly.
A question has arisen about fees related to this project, so I don't want to get too deep into it, but if we make the amendment that Commissioner Steele asked, then if everything's fine, it goes ahead, and if not, we'll at least have another opportunity.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I make the motion as amended.
Okay, and then Commissioner.
Second.
Okay, thank you. All right, so then this will be for, are you okay with it for being, do you want to do it just as Triple Crown? Are you, since it's your motion, you just want to do it as Triple Crown, and then we'll do the next one in the same fashion? Does that make sense? So this will just be for,
Okay.
but
I'm
yeah.
sorry, you're asking me?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Add
For
that
the
to-
next one, yes,
Yeah,
when
nothing else to add.
whoever's
Yes.
making the motion will add that.
Yes.
Yep, got it, okay. All right, so for Triple Crown, do we have any further discussion at this time? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So now we'll go ahead and move on to the last item.
Yes, this is a financial security reduction for Mr. Ricardo Ortiz. He built a single-family dwelling at 751 Paxton Road. This will be the first reduction request. There are some slight things he needs to take care of, so that's why there's going to be a balance of $2347. So HRG has reviewed and is recommending approval.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'll make a motion pending all requirements have been satisfied.
Okay,
Second.
thank you. All right, do we have any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so that security reduction is approved as well. We're up to item 11, reports. We'll go ahead to the treasurer's report. Treasurer Yarzinski.
I was going to put my graph on the screen, but I can put it up later after. I'll just read it for the sake of time so we can move on, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
This is for the month ending January 31st, 2025. There was a beginning balance of all funds, $23,485,778.40. We received $7,350,818.69. We dispersed $6,537,802.98 with an ending balance at the end of January 2025 of $24,298,794.11 across all funds.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we accept the treasurer's report.
Second.
All right, do we have any discussion or questions at this time? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so the treasurer's report has been approved. We'll go ahead and move to B. Do we have a solicitor's report this evening?
No specific report, but I am here to answer questions that the commissioners may have about items on the agenda.
All right, do we have any questions at this time? All right, we'll move on. We're up to 11C, Fire Services and EMS report.
I'll do the fire.
Actually, can we back up for 1 minute? Something just came to mind from the PC meeting, and maybe Commissioner Connolly can talk about it because it's oversight. But I guess one of the things that we possibly want to lead the solicitor in a direction of is looking into the required amount that's required on the PC. And then I think Commissioner Connolly, if I'm not mistaken, I think they asked for an alternate.
Yeah, for,
And I know we've been working on all the other boards. I just make sure that
I'll just put out publicly, I was gonna reach out to the solicitor as the committee chair to get,
Okay.
but we'll just go right now. The planning commission had requested, this is just for your information on their solicitor's report, but, they have 5. And, they were pointing out that the zoning hearing board has 3, but a 4th who is an alternate. And, it was just a question, not that anybody, doesn't show or they haven't had a quorum, but they were asking if they, were in a position to have an alternate on the planning commission. So you don't have to answer tonight, and, you know, there were different opinions, put it that way, but what we didn't really have, I don't think, was an example of where it had happened. So that was just something that came up at the planning commission. They asked the commissioners present, which was myself and Vice President Steele, to look into that. So Commissioner Steele is a little more eager than me. I was going to ask after the meeting tomorrow, but we did say we would check with you, and this is the next meeting. So just leave, that's all, just a discussion. So,
Okay, I can look into that with you and come up with a solution moving forward.
okay, thank you.
All right, and then you're gonna go ahead and take care of the fire service report?
Yeah, and just that I represent that how the discussion went at the planning commission? Okay. The January 2025 Swatara Fire Rescue Monthly Report. In January 2025, Swatara Fire Rescue responded to 126 calls, reaffirming our steadfast dedication to protecting the community. These calls included 9 fires, 29 medical emergencies, 6 hazardous conditions, 16 service-related incidents, 31 good intent calls, 29 false alarms. Additionally, we assisted with 3 calls in Pakistang Borough. Our team of 48 active responders dedicated a total of 4,928 staffing hours and completed 78 hours of training throughout the month. On average, 10.9 personnel responded to each incident with an average response time of 5 minutes, 30 seconds from dispatch to arrival. Working alongside neighboring fire departments remains a crucial part of our operation, as we provided mutual aid 14 times, received mutual aid 32 times, underscoring the value of strong partnerships in emergency response. We are grateful for the dedication and hard work of our firefighters and staff, as well as the ongoing support from our community. Thank you for placing your trust in us. We look forward to continuing to serve the residents of Swatara Township in 2025. There's a couple additional pages with charts and information that will be available, posted in the lobby after tonight's meeting. And I just read that this was submitted by Fire Chief Iverson.
Thank you.
I think we have somebody here who's
the EMS report.
the other half of this report.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Good evening.
How's everybody doing?
How are you?
Real quick, I got 2 reports. One is for January, and then one was the one for the yearly. So for January, there were a total of 609 calls during the month. 911 calls, we did 524, and there were 85 non-emergency transports. Average response time was 9 minutes and 6 seconds. Average on scene was 16 minutes and 45 seconds, with a transport time of 12 minutes to the hospital. About a turnaround time of 22 minutes per call, depending which hospital we're going to, obviously. Most of our calls are between times of pretty much 6 a.m. till about midnight. So that's the majority of your call line, those times of the day. Our yearly report for 2024, there were 6,643 calls. 5,384 was the 911 calls. And for our non-emergencies, it was 1,259. And within the township, so basically just that scene, there was 3,000 calls that were in the township proper, and then whatever else was around. Other things that are a little bit, that were pretty good to see was the average response time over the course of the year was 8 minutes and 50 seconds. So we're within that 9-minute average we shoot for. On-scene time was 17 minutes, and transport times again were 12 minutes, with again a 22-minute turnaround time once we get to the facility. And there's some other graphs and stuff in here. I think you have the reports, or I hope I got them out in time. I may not have. But again, your average, the times are mostly 6 in the morning till about, during the year, was about 10 o'clock. It was a little bit different than midnight, but that was about it. So we appreciate your time, and all the efforts of the past year are, we try to, as we talked about, we try to add an extra ambulance during the daytime hours when we have the staffing to do it, to make sure we're trying to cover the calls, because the call volume has grown during 24 for some reason, but probably, we got some more people moving in, got a lot more people moving around, and those kinds of things. But the call volume has definitely gone up. So, any questions?
I have a question. Are you staying or are you leaving? You're certainly, you gave your report. I just wanted to know for what.
Staying or leaving?
Yeah, are you leaving the meeting after you do your report?
I'll be
Okay.
here.
No, I just want to address a situation that happened last night. And if you were going to leave, I was going to thank you now, but we could talk about it.
No, that's okay. I'll be here. I'll wait.
Okay. And then the other thing I have is, I didn't see any paper.
Yeah,
So, I would say we have, whatever report you have.
I can give these to the police chief, and if you want
Yeah,
to
but
distribute.
for the future, couldn't he just send it to agenda at Swatara?
yeah,
I can do
or
that.
to Mike.
Usually
Yeah.
I get them to the chief, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I sent them, and then this morning I'm like, oh my goodness, I still got them.
Just say,
that's on me.
36 hours before.
Yeah.
Because then we send it out to the commissioners and we could either look at it,
Yeah, that's
advance the
fine.
meeting, or we'll
I'll
print
reach
it,
out
make sure it's in
together.
the packet. You don't have to worry about,
Yeah.
have just a copy for yourself. We're not going to ask you to bring copies, but
No, that's fine.
you just want to,
We can
we'll
talk about
email
afterward.
you
Yeah.
the
we'll work
place
it
that
out.
you email it to, and you can
Yeah,
send it right.
that'll be great.
To the, and then it'll get incorporated in the agenda packets.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That'll be perfect.
I mean, you still have to come and talk to us, but,
Oh, no, that's fine. I don't mind talking to you.
all right, well, thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a great night.
You too, thank you. Before we move on to the police and community service report, Brittany, did you want to talk about the graph at all?
If you want me to say anything about it specifically, those are the totals
Sorry.
that, no,
No.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
Those are the totals that I read from the beginning of January.
It's not up anymore.
Oh my gosh.
It was up.
Hold on, give it a second. It says it's loading on. Okay, there. Okay, sorry about all that.
That's all right.
Those are the totals that I read from the beginning of January 2025 and the ending balance across all funds. And then on the right is where we were this time last year. There are more graphs and all the rest of the figures in your packets. I just know it's hard for the public to see those big ones, so I try to make it more friendly to the eye for the public. That's it.
Did anyone have any questions with regard to the graphs? Or, I mean, I know we already approved the treasurer's report, but. Good.
We're all good.
Okay, all right. We'll go ahead and move on. Thank you, Brittany. And welcome Superintendent Stauffer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna pull this podium back a little tiny bit. All right. Good evening, Madam President, Commissioners. It's my pleasure to present to you the Police Department report for the month of January 2025. In January, we handled 1,145 calls for service in the township and 71 in Paxtang Borough, for a grand total of 1,216 calls. And as we did last time with this new format, for our Part 1 and Part 2 crimes, I'll just read down through the totals column, but you can see how they break down between the township and the borough right next to that. The total Part 1 crimes were 88. That's broken down with 1 murder, 1 robbery, 29 assaults, 1 burglary, 56 larcenies, and no motor vehicle thefts and no arsons. Before I move on, that 1 murder, Mr. Connolly talked about that last week. Unfortunately, we did have a homicide that occurred on January 27th. It was reported to us on January 28th. Our detectives and police officers worked very hard for 1 solid week, and in just under a week, we were able to make an arrest. That person is currently now incarcerated, awaiting his hearing, and we just want to extend our deepest sympathies to the family of Mr. Jorge Morales, who lost his life during that incident. Our Part 2 crimes for January, we had 1 forgery, 18 frauds, 1 embezzlement, 1 stolen property, 1 vandalism call, 6 weapons violations, 9 drug offenses, 11 DUIs, 3 public drunkenness, 6 for disorderly conduct, and 19 that fit in the category of all other offenses, for a total of 73 Part 2 crimes. In our other statistics for the month, we had 74 total arrests for misdemeanor and felony crimes, 9 actual DUI arrests, 52 traffic citations, 138 traffic warnings, 23 non-traffic citations, 13 parking violations, 13 foot patrols, and 8 school foot patrols. And the crime and call trends, we have year-to-date 88 Part 1 crimes compared to 102 this time last year. We have 73 Part 2 crimes compared to 140 last year. And right now, as I mentioned, we're at 1,216 calls for service. Last year, we were at 1,331. So we're tracking just underneath our numbers from last year. And before I move on to the community services report, are there any questions about those numbers? Okay, hearing none. The community services report, as submitted by Corporal Pocrop. On January 7th, Officer Walsh provided a tour of our police department to Cub Scout Pack 23. On January 13th, we had our monthly Coffee with a Cop session at City Line Diner. On January 29th, Officer Walsh and Officer Glass, with the assistance of intern Neal, gave a career day presentation at the St. Catherine Labouré School. We had one team lesson taught at St. Catherine's by Corporal X, and that lesson covered gun safety. We had no bicycle patrols in January. It was a little cold for the bicycles to be out. We had one job shadow in January. That was Mr. Adam Squibb. He's actually applied for a position with the township as a police officer, so he's part of our large group of candidates who will be testing next month. And we also had Gavin Neal start with our police department as an intern. Gavin will be putting in 540 hours with the police department as part of the internship program at Lock Haven University. And yes, that is Sergeant Neal's son, who's sitting in the back here. Gavin has also applied with the police department, so that will be very interesting. Then you can finally retire. Moving on, our drug drop box collected 108.78 pounds of expired and unused medication during the month of January. We had 3 child passenger seat installations and checks last month, and our mix-app program was busy once again. And if you recall, the last monthly report we did not have the statistics from December because our mix-app officer was out with actually with a brand new baby, so it's a good reason to be out from work. But from December, we had 7 level 1 inspections, 1 level 2 inspection, 11 level 3 inspections. There were 19 violations documented and 3 out-of-service violations and 3 citations issued in December. And just last month, we had 4 level 3 inspections, 6 violations documented, and 4 citations issued with 1 warrant served. And on the final page, we have some upcoming events. The PSECU Senior Fraud Forum, which takes place at the PSECU building in Harrisburg, is coming up. That's on March 27th. Detective Seiler will be participating in that event as an expert on the panel. They do a panel discussion. It is wide open for anyone that wants to come. It says the registration process is actually open at a later time, so check PSECU's website if you're interested in attending. I believe they also do that live stream, so if you want to attend virtually, you can do that too. And we have the 3rd annual Swatara Township Senior Resource Fair coming up on April 23rd. That's from 10 till 1 at the LCBC Church. This event will feature over 60 vendors who specialize in resources for senior citizens. The Senior Resource Fair is free to attend. It's open to the general public. Senior citizens and caregivers are encouraged to attend. And there's one more thing that is not on this report that I want to mention. This coming Saturday is the 73rd annual Paxtang Lions Club Pancake Breakfast, where I will be attending as a guest pancake flipper from 9 until 9:30 if anyone wants to come out. Again, it's on the 15th, which is this Saturday, from 6:30 in the morning till 11:30, right at the Paxtang Borough Municipal Building. There are tickets. It's $8 for adults, $5 for kids between 6 and 10, and if you're 5 and under, it's free. It's all the pancakes you can eat. They're delicious, and it's a great time. And that is the conclusion of the report.
I do have a question with regard to the pancake breakfast. Do you have to purchase the tickets ahead of time, or is it something that you can get at the door?
You can buy them at the door, so long as they still have some available. If you'd like to buy them ahead of time, you just need to see a Lions Club member.
Okay.
They've all got fistfuls of them to sell.
Good to know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Does anyone else have anything?
This is going to be at least your second year flipping flapjacks.
I think it's the third.
It's the third.
Yeah.
I know you served me last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a lot of experience.
I do, yeah.
Do we
Thanks
know
to my
if,
kids.
Do we know if Judge Smith is also a
He
ceremonial
should be,
flipper? Okay.
yes. Mm-hmm. Anything else?
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. And now we're up to our Public Works and Recreation report. We'll welcome Manager Trefka.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening again, Commissioners. I'll quickly go over the January monthly report for the Public Works and Parks and Recs. Public Works continued the winter maintenance operations. They also include road maintenance and leaf composting as time permits. The January activities for Public Works, again, the grinding the woody waste and setting up the leaf pad. Public Works staff made repairs to our plow equipment. That is after every storm, I can assure you. Public Works staff responded to trees down on December 29th of 24 and January 29th of 25. Public Works staff performed snow removal operations on 1/3, 1/6, 1/11, 1/19, and 1/20. I wish winter would be over at this point, but here we are. Public Works staff did the routine road maintenance, which included pothole patching, sign repair, clean inlet tops as time permits, and we also attended a thermoplastic seminar. Parks and Recs Department. Parks and Recs Department continues to spend the winter months doing various tasks, which include roof repairs, tree trimming, snow removal, and of course equipment maintenance. Parks and Rec staff continue their park maintenance, such as maintaining the park grounds, trash, cleaning bathrooms, and routine maintenance. They also dedicated their time preparing equipment for winter. Staff also removed numerous trees that were deemed unsafe or prevented access. Parks and Rec staff did install dusk to dawn lights at a few of the parks for security reasons. I don't have the exact number. I think it was 3 or 4. And the Parks and Rec staff installed a 10-foot gate at the Venata Park in the small field. And of course, they also assisted with the snow removal operation. So those are my reports for January.
Thank you. Don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm kind of going to. Were you prepared to talk about the 902 grant at all? Not yet. Okay.
I'm not.
Okay, that's fine. Just so that the public is aware, we did receive a grant, and we'll get some more information with regard to that.
I can touch on it a little bit. When Carol returns, I'll have a little more information. But we did apply for a grant. We generally have applied previously, and we have been able to purchase numerous equipment with those grants, with the 902 grant. So this particular grant, I believe, and don't hold me to this number, I believe we're going to receive $153,000 towards the purchase of a new loader. There's some township contribution requirements. I'm not 100% sure on those numbers. I think we met the requirements, and then I have to go back, of course, to the vendors and get the current price for what the equipment would cost. But when we submitted the grant, it was somewhere around 200,000. 153 would be covered, and then the rest was township contribution. So I don't know where that number is right now, so that's why I didn't want to talk
That's all right.
100% about
Nope, that was basically everything. There was an email that just came out today, so that's why I asked if but just to let the public know that, we're still working on getting grants and still successful, so.
That's what we do.
Yep. So does anyone else have any questions or anything like that?
I'm sure we're going to say at the end of the meeting, but you guys are doing a great job. It's unpredictable weather, ice and snow squalls, the road's clear, you salt it, and a couple hours later, I don't know how anybody's sleeping, put it that way.
It's been a brutal winter.
You got to come right back out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, and then again, just for the public, next month under reports, we'll get something that will include planning and zoning as well. We used to have the Swatara Rising, but we took that out. So now we're up to item 12, authorization to advertise zoning ordinance amendment to add regulations pertaining to data centers. So Solicitor Cocorisi, could you just give a brief overview, and then we'll go ahead and entertain the motion.
Sure, I can give a very brief overview. A couple times at meetings in the past, we discussed in very general terms the lack of any regulations pertaining to data centers in the zoning ordinance. I had mentioned last week that I would be coming back asking for approval to go ahead and advertise an amendment to the ordinance. So all I'm asking for tonight is that approval to then start the process that will play out over the next couple of months for the commissioners to actually consider and eventually vote on the changes to the ordinance. So following approval, assuming it is issued tonight, it needs to be advertised in the paper. The properties, actually up on the screen there, you can see a change to the zoning map. All of the affected parcels need to be posted with notice. All of the property owners need to be mailed notice. The Planning Commission needs to receive a copy of the proposed amendments at least 30 days in advance. And we would be looking to bring it back to this board for an actual public hearing, which is just a fancy way to say the meeting that you hold on a regular basis, for an opportunity for the public to come and state their case about the ordinance changes and for the commissioners to actually vote on April 2nd. So for tonight, it's pretty simple and straightforward. This is just to start that whole process, and it's the first in many steps.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Well, first I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to advertise.
I'll make a motion.
All right. I'll second. Does anyone have any questions?
I do have discussion, and if it gets to a question, either Mr. Golden or Solicitor could jump in, but this was part of the 24 recommendations throughout the year of the Planning Commission. So this one looks like it's obviously moving first, but this is also, and if I miss any, I think on December 8th, we voted to move the short-term rentals, which are commonly known as Airbnbs, and I can't think I think there was 4, yes, certain requirements on signs, and part of the, and it actually is more expansive than that, but rather than do everything at once, it was part of a 2024 effort to more or less modernize the rules which we operate under, because some of these businesses weren't here before, and if people are familiar with this, it wasn't that long ago that it was marijuana dispensaries and vape shops, and then people were caught off guard of where they can go, where they can't go. The concern, I think, expressed by the solicitor and the fact that this one goes first, we do not have any protection to prevent a data center from coming in right now, because we don't have it listed as a permitted use in any zone. It's my understanding, I started researching them, didn't know a whole lot about these, but through pass from Robert to Zach and a little bit of overlap in the Planning Commission, without having a permitted use for something, they could pick a place and go in there, and then you would start this court, if you didn't want them there, if it wasn't a good fit for the community, you would actually be at a starting point of trying to reject it. And the concern that was raised is we would go through a legal process and we would say that for all the years we had zoning and planning, we never said that it couldn't go there. So the data center, from my understanding, they're generally on 80 acres of property in that range. And we don't have any protection on some large parcels that may not be the best place for them to go. So what we're trying to do is come up with something that says this is the area they can go in. And we know from, basically that they're going to need to connect to the electrical power grid. We know what part of the township where that's heavy. They're going to need water, and they're going to need some open space. So we have some of those plots that are in more dense residential areas around the edges, and then we have some where there's nothing there. So I think part of the process after we gave it to the solicitors to try to find out if we were to get that particular use, where could it go? And I've had some conversations with Zach, I had conversations with Robert, Mr. Cookrazian, and started with Scott Weiland, who was they're the same firm. But even though that's the criteria that we should be finding out where they want to go, I think it's fair to say we want to protect where we don't want them to go. So if you have 80, 100 acres or more, right now, if somebody was to come in, they come in with a plan or something, they pick the spot. We don't have anything in any of our zoning or codes that says you can't go there. Ironically, hundreds of other things are defined, and you try to match them in the area that's best for them. But I think unless I have that, is that close enough to?
Close enough sounds right.
I was going to say close enough sounds right as well. I couldn't have said it better myself. They will also pick their own regulations. So this ordinance does a great job of actually spelling out different regulations for data centers. So.
Okay. I have one question.
Sure.
Have we looked at the municipalities around us? Is this kind of like something we've taken from other experiences in other areas, or are there any other municipalities around us that have data center?
From my understanding, Scott Weiland and Saltzman Hughes worked on, I think, is it the closest data center that we have? And it's a couple counties away. I don't know of any others. Some of the research people reached, and Zach had some experience working in Loudoun County, Virginia, and things like that. I don't know of any data center around here.
Well, I can't speak specifically to whether Scott was involved with that or not, but I can say these things are relatively new, so the process we're going through is not uncommon, but it is more difficult to find sample ordinance language from nearby than for more traditional uses. But this is something that Scott worked on in addition with some of the other attorneys in my office, and like I mentioned before, the Planning Commission will have their opportunity to weigh in as well with their own feedback on it.
Have we had any applications to date?
For data centers, not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
So this would kind of put a freeze on that until the process plays out.
Yeah, no application, but interest from at least one property owner who wants to move it and sell the land, and was wondering if they could, to be honest with you, I think that's probably what started this, conversations with someone who has a large tract of land and wants to put something on it. Mm-hmm. And then that was one of the possible things, which also was hotels, a business park, warehousing, storage. So it's a significant size property, and there's some protections against some of the things the person would like to do in place. Not saying that they couldn't do it with waivers and different things, but on that property now and other large tracts, I think if somebody came in with a plan, we would have to start to try to figure out if we didn't want it. That's up, if the board wants them all over, that's one thing, but I think the planning commission and Robert in the position and Zach, and I was tasked with finding where's the best place they could go. So we're not just saying, no, you can't go anywhere, and they're saying that you didn't have any rule, but no plan yet. I don't know, I haven't seen it in other places, but definitely a conversation from one specific property owner, and I've heard of a second who, could be interested.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Yep, go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, I
Duffy.
was just curious. I'm thinking about the actual land in the township, what's actually opened up to be used. As far as I can think of, 80 acres plus, I can only think of two possibilities. Am I mistaken?
No. I'm not saying, but there's more.
For 80 acres in one area?
Yeah.
How many do you think we have?
I'm thinking of, we're right off the top of my head now.
Yeah.
Because you've got,
Some of the
When it's not residential?
oh, where it's not residential.
Yeah.
there's nothing to stop this from, there's no rule that
I
says it can't
listened
go
to what
there.
you said. I understand what you're saying. I was just curious.
No, I'm thinking open space. I'm thinking of 4, if not more, without looking at a map.
So we're
Doesn't
saying
necessarily
both
have to
commercial
be
and
one
residential,
parcel.
we have
There could be-
parcels that exceed 80 acres.
Yes, it could be a few that someone would want to buy up. and
It would be
turn
nice
into-
to have
You
like
can throw
a
this in a
number of
residential area?
all of,
I mean, I would think so.
collectively of what parcels exceed 80 acres. Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, and I think there's significantly more by looking at that map.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, there's quite a few places that,
I would say at least a dozen.
Maybe break it down between residential versus commercial.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
There may be other restrictions.
I'm sure you could just send it to the whole board. So
Sure,
good.
thank
You're
you.
good.
Anything else from anyone? For anyone? Okay. All right, we have the second, we have the motion.
Okay.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, so authorization to advertise that is granted. All right, we're up to consideration of resolution, additional traffic control signs at City Park Drive. So we'll go ahead and turn it over to Superintendent Stauffer.
All right, very briefly, as I'm sure you're all familiar with City Park Drive, it's a township roadway that goes between Dairy Street and Paxton Street. And while you traverse City Park Drive, you'll find yourself driving underneath a railroad bridge. That railroad bridge, I believe, is 12'4" is the clearance. And we have several incidents over the years where larger vehicles don't see the warning signs or they see them too late, which causes them to crash into that bridge. Brendan's got it. We good? As I was saying, larger vehicles sometimes crash into that bridge or they get stuck. Looking at the traffic study that Lieutenant Milstein put together, in the past 6 years, we've had 40 incidents with oversized trucks, or not necessarily oversized, but too big for that road, traveling on City Park Drive. So the idea was to install some additional signage for the northbound traffic coming off of Paxton Street, because the signs that we have there right now, by the time a truck driver would see it, there's really no place for the truck driver to detour away from City Park Drive. So this is asking the board to approve the addition of some warning signs down closer to Paxton Street, which hopefully will prevent a large number of these trucks from going too far up City Park Drive and getting stuck.
Thank you for the explanation. I'll entertain a motion. I don't think we did. We have a motion.
Second.
And we have a second. Do we have any discussion at this time? Yep, go
I
ahead.
was just curious, is it just standard regular signs or is it something that might get their attention a little bit more?
Yeah, it'll be the standard low bridge signs with the actual clearance height. We're also asking to put the orange diamonds on top of the signs like we've done at other locations to draw drivers' attention to the signs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good question. You have anything else? Nope. All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So that's going to be resolution R-2025-22. We're up to item 14, consideration of resolution, special purpose parking at 6620 Huntington Street. And we'll turn it right back over.
Thank you very much. Again, this is a pretty standard special purpose parking request from a resident. 6620 Huntington Street is, if you're familiar with it, there's an apartment building on Huntington Street. Sits just to the east of Rutherford Elementary. And this resident resides in that apartment building. The apartment building has a parking lot to the rear, but for this particular resident with their issues, it would be better to have a reserved parking space out in front of the building on Huntington Street. The owner of the property was contacted, and he's not opposed to having that special purpose parking zone installed on Huntington Street in front of the building. So it's the police department's recommendation that that special purpose parking space be installed.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Everybody seconded?
Pick one.
Yeah. All right. Do we have any discussion at this time? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. That's going to be resolution R-2025-23. We're up to item 15, visitors' requests and comments. Again, you come forward, state your name and address, as well as write them down, and then you may begin. All right, I don't see anybody jumping up. We'll keep moving. Item 16, possible stormwater violations for investigation. This is on every agenda. Again, you can also send an email if you notice that there's something that needs to be investigated. All right, commissioners' requests and comments, additional business, and correspondence. Commissioner Tuckey.
Wow. 8:42. How about that?
Record.
Well, first, I'd just like to thank everyone that came out tonight. Appreciate you paying attention and staying involved. I also want to thank Corporal Pocrop and Detective Seiler. Their terrific help putting the senior fair together. You got really a good group of people, Chief. And I do appreciate them and everyone you have on your staff in your department. Road crew, same deal. Appreciate everything that you do. I know everyone's trying to do the best they can. Volunteer fire departments, firefighters, I appreciate what they do also. I'm just gonna keep it short tonight. Hope everyone has a safe trip home and take care.
Thank you. Commissioner Zubek?
Yeah, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I do have just two items. First, in honor of Black History Month, I want to recognize the contributions of Miss Barbara Barksdale, and it was a great presentation. And I think the theme this year is moving forward with purpose. And so I want to just, reiterate the contributions that she made in moving forward with purpose with the first picture that we've seen and what Midland Cemetery looks like today. And so I do want to mention that. Also, last week I did ask for a receipt for the drone that was purchased without board approval. I have not received that yet, so just a reminder that I would like to have that receipt as soon as possible for review. And again, thank you everybody for coming out tonight, and have a safe trip home and enjoy the weather.
Thank you. Commissioner Connolly?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Barbara, and I'm sure most people know this, but the township has really partnered with Midland Cemetery for pretty much all the years that she's been involved. Our police, public works have helped with things there. Barbara was very modest, and it seemed like once she was done, she was ready to go. But we were fortunate enough to name the entrance Barbara Barksdale Way. We didn't need to do anything formal because it's on the property of the cemetery, so there was no renaming of any existing street. Kevin, along with, I'm going to say, Chief Stauffer and Dennis Kraling were very prominent in getting that done and doing all kinds of things for Barbara and a lot of volunteers as well. We'll go over there and help with cleanups and things like that. It's come a long way, and we're very fortunate to have it in Swatara Township. I did want to touch on something that really wasn't mentioned. The reason it exists is because the people that were buried there were not allowed to be buried in other cemeteries. Other cemeteries did not accept the bodies of people with black skin for all those years. So that's how this cemetery came about. It wasn't a choice. It wasn't, they didn't say we'd like this one. They just couldn't be buried anywhere else. And when you think about that, in this day and age, that there's 92 U.S. military veterans buried in that cemetery whose bodies were not permitted by, whatever you want to call it. I doubt very seriously it was a law or a rule, but by choice of the private cemeteries. It pretty much shows how far we've come, because I certainly haven't heard anything like that in a lot of years, and that's why the cemetery did fill up. And if you caught the time that she was saying that there were no veterans from the Vietnam War, because by then people had some other options, and that space had been filled. But proud to have it here in Swatara Township, and still hard to believe for people alive today that was even an issue back then. I do want to touch on I don't know about a receipt, but I have an invoice, and I investigated the drone because, in all honesty, I apologize. It was on the consent agenda last week. When somebody's on the consent agenda, I don't come with paperwork and all the receipts. So some of the questions took me off guard, but I think if you watched the last week's meeting, or you remember what I said, I think I was pretty accurate. There are 2 drones. One of them was bought within the budget of 2024. That drone, $12,927 with a purchase of November, I think, or November 6th. That was in the budget, and it was a capital line item, and it's in a line item that really wasn't used, and it was something that after, again, the catalyst for this was after the August 31st fireworks, and seeing the professionalism that Mr. Jack Harlacker displayed, knowing that he worked with other county agencies and emergency response and his history. We had talked about it between police, fire, and some other things, and said that we would like to purchase that drone. And in fact, it jogged my memory that this is the 2025 budget presentation from September 5th of 2024. And at that point, we were considering buying the drone with leftover money from the previous budget, and with recommendations from Mr. Harlacker, and the fact that we had someone on staff. We had a police officer that had used a drone before, who has since retired and was retiring around that very same time. The presentation that we did publicly, right here in this room, I believe every commissioner was here, and maybe some of you, on page 4, it said drone, with an allotment in that budget line item of $20,000, and it says police, fire, public works, stormwater, and potential cost savings. So that's the 2025 budget. So that's money, that wasn't spent in 24, but research was done on it, and I think last week I had said, like within a month or a month before, it looks like towards the end of the year, we did order a drone, and it was $6,305. I don't know if we can get a receipt for Commissioner Zubek. I only have, is the purchase order similar, or did we get an actual receipt at some point, or how's it work?
Should have a receipt.
The invoice? Okay, yeah, so I mean, I may have what you're asking, I don't know, but if it's a specific receipt, I don't know.
It would be great if I could have the invoices. And can you point me to the specific line item in the budget that drone was located?
I think it's on,
I mean, I don't know what
It's a small
line
print.
item we don't
Which-
use.
I'm gonna have to blow it up.
it was, but when we did it, it was on the, I mean, I asked for that PowerPoint today.
Well, I'd like to see the actual budget with the line item.
Yeah. But anyway, my point is, we talked about it in a public meeting, we added $20,000, and we did spend $6,300. So I think that was part of the question last week. And I just want to be clear on, there was one other aspect, and this is really Commissioner's comments. We can get the paperwork, or Brittany can look it up. But I was taken off guard that there seemed to be some negative connotations, and the operator that we added was already doing a lot of this stuff anyway. But we were asking more and more and more of somebody who we felt should be compensated. And I thought about it. The drone was up after a tornado hit Swatara Township. That was in August. The drone was up again for a major event, one of the biggest events we've ever had here. The drone was up for a lost child. The drone has been up for, I promised the chief I wouldn't say which, but for criminal investigations already happened and continue to happen. So it was a really, just an incredible purchase for $6,300 that the township would own it. And part of the conversation, we did have a 7-page listing last week that was more about the drone and the policies, but it didn't have the price. But one of the things that I like the best is that Mr. Harlacher was willing to train our police and then use this. We even talked about public works, and if somebody was missing in the creek, just all the value that you get from a drone. I mean, that's what the capabilities are. So I apologize for not having all those answers last week, and it was a lot of things going through. When we got each one. So I think it was better that I gave general statements rather than misspeak, because if I said the wrong thing, somebody would have pointed that out. So I'm just saying, I think that was pretty accurate. I'll leave it at that. We will get the receipt, but if there was any confusion of whether or not it was outside of the budget or the normal process that this board does, it certainly wasn't. And the final thing I want to say on that is, I was asked if the person was a candidate. There was no race in August of last year. The person was not a candidate. Since then, I think I figured out what was going on. And people are entitled to, they're allowed to run for office or not, but that's not something that I would necessarily know as part of my duties on numbers and public safety. It really didn't have anything to do with that. And it was in the process well in advance. And I do want to say, we've used a drone, and we have drone footage of an event that we did in 2016. Jason Umberger was the chief, and it was one of our officers that used a drone, and we actually worked in conjunction with a student who was at Sci Tech, who also flew a drone at an event that we did at Ivy Ridge, and that young man had all the licenses and qualifications. Is actually a pilot now, so many years later. But I just want to address it. I think that, maybe through my lack of information, it was a little confusing, so hopefully that helps. And if anybody wants to see the presentation or the paperwork, we can get that for you. And then finally,
On the drone, sir, may I ask you a question? Since it was my question that you're referring to. So.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, you purchased a drone for $12,927 and $6,305. You said there were 2 drones purchased.
Yes.
So one of those drones was not purchased with the approval of the board. Is that correct?
No, because it was in the 24 budget that the board approved in a line item. That was from 24. I think the question was on the 25, which is the $6,305, which was also put in the budget, but it was 2 different years.
Oh, I would like to see the line items, but
Okay.
you stated last week that it was in January that it was purchased. There was never any mention in any of the budgets that there were drones being purchased.
Sure.
And so I will be looking for clear
Yeah.
documentation that proves that it was a budgetary item for both. And my question had nothing to do with whether or not we were purchasing drones and for what purpose. My concern is that this board, certain people are making unilateral decisions without any discussion, without bringing it before the board for a vote. And this isn't just the first time this has happened. It's happened numerous times throughout the year that I've pointed out specifically. And I have specific, examples and concerns about that. And I'm going to continue bringing those to light. And if something is budgeted, I'm not looking for a general line item that nobody knows about. I'm looking for the specific line item and for the specific purpose. But thank you for providing that information. I think that when a question comes up and there's an item on the agenda and the question about how much we purchase something for, then the answer should be provided immediately, or somebody should get the answer for us. Thank you.
And I'm going to say, I agree with most of what you said. The question was asked last week. I got the information and came back with it this week.
Appreciate that.
Both of these were, I think I see the nuance here. Both of these were voted on by the majority of the board. You did vote no on the budget, but if it passes, that is the budget. So it's not specific to an individual vote. So both of the budgets were passed by the majority of the board, the 24 budget and the 25 budget, and that's what we operate off of, and that's where the purchase came from, and that's where it was listed. So,
well, if I can get the invoices and the line item that says drone, I'll be happy with that.
I think the line item is going to say capital purchase because it's not specific.
I did just look it up, sorry to interrupt, but it is in the fire budget 003-411-740 capital purchase
What year?
equipment.
There you go.
What year?
25 budget.
Okay, 24, what's that one?
25 budget, I'm only looking at the
Okay,
25.
if you could provide that information on both years, thank you.
Yeah. All right, and then I just wanted to wrap it up with, we also had questions about the two buildings. It's going on for 5 years. Some of us were on the board, off the board, for some or all of the time. We voted last week, and I saw that a couple members of the public during the meeting and personally, and I think the commissioners had asked the president to have a rendition with the prices, and I see it's posted outside, so we'll leave that there for, as it could just be a standing exhibit if people want to see it. But and it includes both of the sheets that Dawood worked on, and Dawood also came up with the rendition. So yeah, it's outside the door. I saw it when I came in. So and well, it was outside when I came in. I don't know if it's there now, but it was out there. And I just want to touch on something. Last night, we had a terrible accident in the township. Snowing at the time, roads were slippery, and we had a head-on collision on Chambers Hill Road. And I don't want to get too deep into that, other than to say our first responders, police, highway department, fire, life team, and other responders, people from other communities, were absolutely incredible. During that incident. The incident did result in 6 people leaving the scene in ambulances. To the best of my knowledge, any injury is bad, but it was nothing life-threatening. But it took a lot of work from a lot of people to handle the scene. And there's a house that's, I hope I have this right, 7101 Chambers Hill. I don't know whose house it is. You're shaking your head, yes. I see. You're right. And the gentleman in the back here tonight protecting us was also on the scene. But the people that live in that house were absolutely incredible, opening up their home, providing blankets and warmth for something that lasted well over an hour, stretching into 2 hours. So I will find out who they are and thank them. But they didn't say no to anything or anybody. Keeping warm, keeping children in the house, medical staff, fire. Brendan was pretty much the guy on the scene, along with some other people. But I just want to say that in a bad situation, we have incredible people here in Swatara Township. So thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Steele?
I don't have anything, thanks.
Thank you. All right, I have two things to touch on and then I will move forward with purpose. With regard to last week, there was a question about whether or not the two architects that we vetted the building project for were asked to participate in the meeting. I got confirmation from the township engineer, Dawood, that they did reach out to both firms to ask for documents. And to my knowledge, one firm complied, the other, which would be Kimmel Brochette, declined to release any documents to the engineer. And then also with regards to the projects and the prices that are out front, we'll get them up on the website. I just want to say, please keep Vice President Steele and his family in your thoughts and prayers. I want to thank Ms. Barksdale for coming out this evening. I asked her kind of last minute, and she was able and willing and ready to go to do that presentation. It is Black History Month, so take a moment to learn about the contributions that Black people have made to American history, because again, I said this last week, I'll say it again, Black history is American history. I want to thank our Public Works Department for their continued upkeep of our roads. We've had more snow events this year than we have had in a long time. You guys do a fantastic job making everything passable and safe, so I'm very appreciative of that. I want to thank all of the first responders in the township. You don't hear this as often as you should, but you are appreciated. And you're vital to the safety of our residents. So I just want to extend my thanks and gratitude to everyone for that. And with that, I want to thank everyone that takes the time to come out to these meetings, stays to the end. This was one of the quickest ones we've had in a very long time. Thank you to everyone that takes the time to watch these meetings. I hope everyone that is here gets home safe. And I'll go ahead and entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned at 9:03 p.m.